Hello everyone, welcome to DTI Themes Explained. Today we dive into the world of 1920s fashion. Quick disclaimer though, this video at its core, yes, is more on the educational side, but it's mainly for entertainment purposes and to give you guys inspiration for the theme. Absolutely no fashion policy here. Obviously, play the game however you want and have fun. The Roaring Twenties were in between two major world events, World War I and the Great Depression. As a result of the war, women gained a more prominent role in society. They took over jobs left by men, and in many countries gained the right to vote. People wanted to celebrate being alive. They wanted to move, to dance, and to break free. Many technological innovations like radio, cinema, and the automobile changed how people socialized. Naturally, women's fashion started to become more simple, comfortable, functional, and obviously glamorous. In the 1920s, African Americans were finding new ways to express themselves, especially in cities like Harlem. Sure, there was still a long road ahead when it came to true equality, but the Harlem Renaissance became a symbol of pride and cultural power. Music, art, and fashion thrived there, especially with black-owned businesses' fashion trends. I highly recommend that you do your own research on the Harlem Renaissance. At the same time, the Roaring Twenties were making waves far beyond the West. Western styles also sparked fresh movements in the East. For example, in Japan, the Moga girls emerged, which is like the Japanese equivalent of American flappers, but still very unique. And the traditional dresses like qipao started to evolve, mixing traditional fabrics and prints with sleeker cuts and patterns inspired by Art Deco. Enter the flapper, the defining figure of 1920s fashion. These women wore dresses with dropped waists, straight, boyish cuts, and shorter hemlines that shoved off their knees, which was absolutely scandalous at the time. They wanted to dance, and their clothes had to move with them. Fabrics like silk, chiffon, and lightweight cotton became popular, flowing freely. Evening wear were often covered in beads, sequins. In contrast, day wear was more practical with chemise-style dresses. And the shoes were not higher than they were before. They actually didn't change much at all. They were low and on the thicker side. Men's fashion changed too. Instead of stiff, heavy suits, softer tailoring, slimmer cuts, and even lighter colors were in. Plus, the wide-legged Oxford bags, along with two-tone shoes, bow ties, and straw-bowler hats became very popular. Let's talk colors now. Black became surprisingly popular for evening wear with Coco Chanel's Little Black Dress in 1926, while pastels were popular for daytime dresses and summer clothes. Various shades of blue, brown, pink, forest greens, mustard yellows, and grays, as well as huge plates, geometric Art Deco designs, and simple florals provided personality to the color palette of the decade. In the summer and spring, in addition to pastels and floral designs, burnt oranges, lavenders, dusty roses, peachy pinks, and rich reds were favored. Jewel tones such as emerald, sapphire, and ruby were very fashionable, as well as metallics such as gold, silver, and bronze. Speaking of jewels, accessories were essential. Long strands of pearls, beaded purses, feathered headbands, layered necklaces, jeweled berets, Gloves were still worn, but they were shorter and more practical. Especially early in the decade, a hat with a wider brim was equally fashionable as cloche hats, which became very popular. And hats were also worn very low. So when it came to hair, there were only a couple of options. You could go all in and cut it short, but if you weren't ready to take the plunge, you would just style your long hair to make it shorter and to give the illusion, maybe twist it at the back of your head or wear a really tight bun. And some women even just trim the front sections to create the illusion. And for the makeup, the visible makeup was more acceptable, yes. Highly plucked eyebrows became very popular, but because they were so fine, people had to darken them a little bit so that they would stand out. You could also darken your eyelashes a bit and maybe even add some eyeshadow. Oh, and definitely some blush. So the look is still on the softer side, but it is certainly more noticeable. Now, there's this idea that 1920s makeup was really dramatic, really dark and strong, and that's actually simply not true, but there is a reason we think that. Around that time, the cinema became really popular, but the film reels couldn't really capture yellow or red tone, so these silent cinema stars had to paint their faces really white, pale, and then exaggerate their eyes and lips to show emotions clearly on the screen for better acting, so now you know. I want to quickly talk about the corsets because I've seen a lot of stuff about them. So the thing is, they still wore corsets because in a fashion sense, corsets shape the body, so it adjusts to the PG ideal better for that time. This time, instead of, accentuating the waist or snatching it, it was used to flatten the silhouette. But it's still a corset, so that's something the majority of the women still wore, especially if they were a bit more curvy to get the silhouette that they wanted. Now the roaring 20s may feel distant, but its style and spirit remains as powerful as ever. In a world hungry for change, 1920s fashion answered with courage, glamour, and a sparkle that has never quite gone out. And next time you get the theme Roaring 20s, now you have the inspiration. Thanks for joining me on this journey through a decade of fearless style. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want more stories about how history shapes what we wear. I will see you guys in the next episode. Until then, be kind to yourself and see you soon. Bye!